Hey friends, I hope this finds you doing well. I was reading a passage I hadn't read in a while, and I thought, oh gosh, I want to share it with you. Comes from Acts chapter number 17. Beginning in verse number 24, it says, "The God who made the world and everything in it, being Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by man, nor is he served by human hands as though he needed anything, since he himself gives to all mankind life and breath and everything." Well, the passage goes on, but Paul is dealing with the Greeks and their many gods, and as he traveled proclaiming the good news of the crucified and resurrected Jesus, this monotheistic God was very foreign to them. When they wanted something from God or wanted to worship a God, they would go to that temple, because in their minds, every God had their dwelling place. Every God had their temple. Every God had their place where you would go and worship and serve and bring your offerings in hopes of getting something back. But Paul calls to awaken them to remember that the true God is the creator of all things, and he is Lord of heaven and earth, and he is lacking nothing. He needs nothing. You cannot contain him to one site. He does not live in the temples made by men, but he did give his life for us, and he sent his son to die as us so that he could live in us. So when we go to church, we're not going to God's house. If we go to church, we're not going to meet God. No, if you're a born again child of God, he lives in you, and he's everywhere. Even the unbeliever does not have to go far to find him. He's everywhere. He's there. Later in the passage, Paul says, man, he's near to you. And so he reminds us that he's not in a earthly dwelling place. He lives in the spirit of his children, and he doesn't need anything. And why is that important? Well, because in a lot of religious systems, it's all about what we're going to do for God. And I spent, even as a believer, as a Christian, I spent many years trying to serve God, trying to do things that would make me acceptable and approved, and that would please him. And what this passage is saying is that, God doesn't need anything. He doesn't need my offerings. He doesn't need my service. He's not lacking anything. In fact, when I give financially or of my time, when I serve him, I'm only returning to him what he has already given to me, because he is the source of life, and everything I have is his and belongs to him, and I've received from him even if I don't recognize it. So I just want to encourage you today. Remember, as you go out into the world, a world that's full of hurt and pain, remember that the God who is Lord of heaven and earth and created all things, the one who is too great to be contained in a simple building in a single location, has chosen to live in you. You are that temple. You don't have to go to church to meet God. If you're his child, he lives within you. If you're an unbeliever, he's all around you. Stop. Call on him. He hears you. No, we go to church to encourage one another, to serve each other, to build one another up. And we recognize that our service is not to gain his pleasure or his acceptance, but it flows from his acceptance. I do want to please him in all the ways that I live, to seek his glory. But I don't serve him to gain what he has given me. I only release what comes from him, because all that I have and all that you have, they really come from him. All of my resources, financial or otherwise, my abilities, my talents, they all come from him. There is no glory that belongs to me. It's his. And so, together, let's be remembered. We serve a big God, the Lord of heaven and earth. And he's chosen to live in us. And now we just simply consent to allow him to live through us, to give through us, to bless through us, to speak through us. Because in the end, it's all his. And I take great pleasure in giving away all that he is in me, that he might be glorified through me. And I hope that's your heart's desire too. Hey, you have a great day. God bless.